If you aren't prepared right now for what is likely to come in 2026, you are probably going to leave a lot of money on the table. What's happening right now in the stock market with all this volatility, where the NASDAQ is technically in correction territory down over 10% from all time highs? This stuff does not happen often, where you have the market falling, where valuations are now good, and very, very strong revenue and earnings per share growth. It's setting up for a potential humongous opportunity to capitalize as long as you position your portfolio correctly and you simply keep your emotions in check. Because we all know by looking at the fear greed index, it is very low right now, and a lot of people are panicking, they're freaking out. Their portfolios are down way more than what the NASDAQ's actually down. We got to think about this logically right now of how to position, how to allocate, and what history tells us we should do right now. Because history does not repeat itself, but it definitely does rhyme. So we take a look at this chart right here. This shows you the red line, which is the S&P 500, the blue jaggedy line, which is the fear greed index. We could draw some very crystal clear conclusions from this of how do we allocate our portfolios to make more money going forward. Now, typically speaking, how the market works. When a stock is going up, your friends are talking about it, your colleagues talking about it, your mom's talking about it. Everyone is just simply piling money into that stock, and everyone seems to be a genius when it's going up. But now what you're seeing is all those meme stocks that everybody was talking about at the end of 2025, you're now seeing them get haircuts. I mean, just take a look at this 3-month chart right here. We have Ionic down 35%, HIMS down 40%, EOSE down 60%, BMNR down 30, SoFi down 40, Robinhood down 40. Meanwhile, the NASDAQ up here, which is what no one seems to want to allocate to, is only down 8%. But these were the hot stocks. These were the stocks that were apparently supposed to make everyone millionaires, right? But they didn't. They're down way more than what the NASDAQ's down. So simply what happens is when valuations get out of control and we get a negative catalyst like Iran right now and oil and inflation and all this stuff, NASDAQ's going to go down a little bit. The S&P 500 is going to go down a little bit. And all these individual stocks, these high beta, high valuation companies, I'm not saying they're bad companies, but they're going to blow off the top and they're going to go down a lot more than the market. And retail investors are simply going to keep making the exact same mistakes time and time again. Take a look at this chart right here. As you can see, by coming out of Liberation Day tariffs that happened in April of last year, you could see that the fear greed index was very, very low. People were nervous. People were freaking out. People were saying the US dollar is done. People were saying that China is going to take over the world. What happened? Stock market had a very sharp recovery after that. Let's take a look at the left, where the market was ripping higher, but then inflation got out of control post-COVID. Fed had to raise interest rates, which then brought the market down, and fear was very high right here. People were very nervous. But take a look at this point right here, where the fear greed index was down here to a level of 4-ish. How are the future expected returns in the market? Really good returns, right? You made a lot of money coming off this dip right here. My main Charles Schwab account, it was around $300,000 in value right here. Now it's $1.2 million even after this dip right here. So I basically 4x my account in just a few years by simply allocating when other people were fearful and doing options in the correct way, which we'll talk about in a minute here. So when fear is high and people are freaking out, that's usually a good time to invest. But it just feels like the complete opposite time to invest because it's like, how could the market possibly go up after Iran? How could this possibly not be World War III? How could we possibly not have inflation from the oil price going up? Usually this stuff works itself out. America's been through World War I, World War II, COVID, 9/11, pandemics, whatever. We usually come out bigger, better, and stronger every single time. Not saying this time is guaranteed to be like that, but it's very likely. So, when fear is very high, we go to these low levels right here. Future expected returns in the market are usually pretty good. Take a look at where we are at right now. The market is falling, fear is going up, people are freaking out and panicking. So, how do we allocate right now then? Well, we want to be bullish, right? We want to be bullish when there's fear in the market, valuations are now cheaper, and we're getting more bang for our buck. So what I like to do is when I'm bullish, I will go buy shares of something. If I'm super bullish, I will go sell portfolio secure puts on something. And if I'm super de-duper bullish, I will simply go buy calls on something. So that's the hierarchy of how I flow through this stuff. And that hierarchy is going to take you a very long way in the market because you don't just want to go buy calls to buy calls. You don't just want to go sell puts to sell puts. And you definitely don't just want to go buy shares to buy shares. You have to get a good company at a good price and you allocate. And that's how you make money in the long term. And you have to accept that short-term volatility in the market, it's always going to be here. This volatility is never going to go away. This week it's going to be Iran. Next week it's going to be oil. The week after that it's going to be tariffs. The week after that it's going to be something else we're not even thinking about. The market is always going to climb a wall of worry, and you have to simply accept that. And if you can't accept that, you probably don't belong in the stock market. All right, so us as retail investors, we have a very big decision to make right now. We either invest and we allocate and we capitalize on this volatility and we drown out the noise. We don't worry about what every single person is saying online where the market's going to crash, or every single person who posts on X saying the market's going to crash, or saying this time is different, we're never going to recover from it. We're going to think logically and know that we're going to buy good companies at good prices, use options in a logical way, and know what we own and why we own it. And we're going to understand that when we put our money in the S&P 500 and when we put our money in the NASDAQ, those indices most people simply aren't going to beat, which is where I put roughly 75% of my money in the S&P and the NASDAQ. The 25% part of my portfolio is going to be individual stocks, but you obviously know that most of my money is going to go in the S&P and NASDAQ because it's so hard for people to beat that to start. So why not just match it, then take a little bit of our portfolio to buy individual stocks that are very compelling, and then take part of our portfolio, buy some calls, and sell some puts when it makes sense to generate some cash flow. That's exactly what I do right here. Now, this chart right here is critical to understand. It did just update, and I was preaching last year that the market was expensive up here. The lighter line's the S&P 500, the darker line's the earnings per share growth line. Stocks follow where the profits go in the long term. I was preaching back here that the market was a little bit expensive and that a correction is very likely to happen because we're so far stretched above where the profits are at. The profits dictate where the stocks are going to go. The market just simply rebounded too much off of this April low right here. And now we're finding ourselves on the back of a bad catalyst with Iran, valuations that were a little bit high, and now the market's simply correcting back down towards the earnings per share growth line. This chart hasn't been updated in a couple days. These lines are probably almost overlapping right now, which is what I called for at the end of last year. Profits are growing, market is falling, the market is becoming double cheaper and double safer and double more compelling. So when we were up here, I was not super bullishly allocated. I did not have a bunch of sold puts. I did not have a bunch of calls because options are just a way to magnify something. Why would I want to magnify a bullish move when I'm not super bullish? You wouldn't want to do that, so I didn't do that. I want to magnify things when it's very compelling to do. Like down here it was compelling where the market was below the profit line. Down in 2022 was obviously very compelling where I said I took my account from like 300K to about $1 million in this run right here. Basically almost 4x my account in this run. Very strong returns because when the market was falling for a year, people were panicking, people were freaking out, people thought that this time was different. Profits only went down a little bit, but the market went down way more, and there was deals down here and room to allocate. And when you allocate when things are largely undervalued to good companies at good prices, and you give yourself 1 or 2 years, which is why I always do longer duration options, you're going to realize that you're probably going to make a lot of money. And that's basically what Warren Buffett does. Everyone talks crap on Warren Buffett, yet he has $150 billion and you don't. So, the name of the game is to be bullish when people are not bullish. Be greedy when people are fearful. People were fearful down here. Great returns going forward. People were fearful down here. Great returns going forward. People were fearful down here in COVID. Amazing returns going forward. And you could obviously see the trend that the longer that you hold for, the more likely you are to make money. Because you have, in the S&P 500, there's 500 CEOs-ish that go to work every day. And they say, hey, how do we improve our revenue? How do we become more efficient? How do we boost our earnings per share? And in the long term, they're going to be successful at that for most of the companies. And the profits overall for the S&P are going to go up and to the right. So the longer you hold for, the safer that this stuff becomes. There's always going to be bad events to happen. We had COVID. Literally, I live in Vegas. The whole strip was shut down. Think about how bad that would have made someone feel. But I knew that that was temporary. We had inflation go out of control up here. And then we had to raise interest rates very high to get rid of that inflation. Who would have thought that we were ever going to come out of that situation? We had Liberation Day tariffs, where Trump was sitting there with that big poster board when he announced it, and the market is just falling. How are we ever going to come out of that? And right now, we're seeing something very, very similar, where the market's being volatile because of Iran and oil prices. But if we zoom out and you can just look at your portfolio a year from now or 2 years from now or even to 2030, allocating right now and setting yourself up in the S&P and in the NASDAQ and some of these companies that we're going to talk about right now on my stock sheet, you could make truly generational wealth. Like Nvidia, clearly undervalued. It's 73% of intrinsic value, meaning it's roughly 27% below intrinsic value, meaning it's cheap. TSM is cheap, Micron is cheap, Meta is cheap, Triple Q is a little bit below intrinsic value, basically like 1 or 2% below intrinsic value. The S&P is now 2% above intrinsic value. It's getting closer, but you could also see that correlated on this chart right here. the market's still a little bit above the earnings per share growth line. So it is still a little bit expensive. And I used a Benjamin Graham revised formula, a formula that Warren Buffett himself uses to get rough intrinsic values for stuff. So you basically plug in earnings per share, percent growth rate, and it spits out the current price and then the intrinsic value for everything that I have right here. There's a bunch of things I do this on. And of course, I update this every day. But I say that anything above a 75 is going to be a buy. There's a handful of things right now that are above a 75 to capitalize on. But the problem is that the fear greed index is pointing to a level that nobody dares to dabble into the market at. But this is the time to dabble. This is the time to allocate. This is when you want to be bullish in the market, when people are fearful. Every single time the stock market has rebounded to all-time highs, every single time when you're in the midst of that negative event that's happening, it feels like we're never going to be able to come out of this. It feels like the world is never going to, just recover from this. But it has every single time. So now when we take a look at the NASDAQ and look at this on a 5-year chart, and we zoom out a little bit, let's go out even farther than right now. Do you see the trend that the market is clearly going up and to the right? Because the profits are clearly going up and to the right. This is a dot-com crash. Even if you would have bought at the top of the dot-com crash, the triple Q index was about $100 a share. Right now it's $573 per share. And it was obvious that the market was in a bubble back then. We are nowhere near that right now in the market, and valuations are now basically at intrinsic value, just fair value in my opinion. So this is a time to allocate. This is the time to drown out all the noise of what you see out there from what people are saying online and simply lock in, deal with the volatility, accept that you might see a little bit more red in your portfolio. But when you allocate right here and you're looking to 2030, your portfolio is likely to be very fine. Now, just to be fully transparent, this is how my account's doing right now. $1,148,000. I feel like the true intrinsic value of my account is roughly $1,100,000. So most people are going to be like, oh my God, Brandon, you are down $49,000 today, down 4%, and the NASDAQ went down 2.3%. Yeah, that's exactly what happened today. But guess what? What is Berkshire Hathaway stock down? How much is Warren Buffett down? How much does their portfolio fluctuate? Have they seen their accounts fluctuate 50% in some years? Of course they did. This is normal volatility. And I've been preaching on this channel when the market was more expensive that I want to have a similar downside exposure level as the actual NASDAQ index when it was a little bit more expensive. Because when the market's expensive, you expect it to go down a little bit and take a breather. So I had more bonds in my account. But as this account is falling, becoming cheaper, safer, and more compelling, I am adding less bonds to this account and more individual stocks, more S&P 500, more NASDAQ, more calls, more sold puts. So my beta is a little bit more high than the market right now, a little bit higher. But when the rebound comes, I am going to capitalize and make way, way, way more money than what most people are going to make. And this is exactly how I allocated in 2022 also. My ratios are well within check. Like even if the market falls 40, if not 50% from the level that the market's at right now, I'm going to be just fine. I'm not going to get a margin call. I'm allocated in a way to win no matter what the market does. And I've been showing my ROI in various videos on this YouTube channel for a long time now. I've been beating the market since before COVID. Yes, we're going to get a little bit of volatility, but guess what? I know that the market's still a teeny tiny bit expensive. You saw that the S&P 500 was a little bit hot still. I accept that. In this account, I feel like the true value is $1,100,000. So when I look at my brokerage account, I'm not going and refreshing 18 times a day like most people do. I wake up in the morning, I take a look at it, see where we're at, I allocate to what simply makes sense, and I realize that I have $48,000 of money that's not really mine is how I look at it. Because I know that the account and the things I hold within it are a little bit overvalued still. But now that they fell a little bit, we're now at intrinsic value. I'm now capitalizing on this dip. We're probably going to look very good going forward. And this is what people were saying when I was showing my account in 2025 in April when the market, this account was somewhere around like 780,000, fell to like 640-ish really quick. People are saying, oh man, Brandon's going to get wiped out. He's done. Well, guess what? We're now a year later and my account is basically double off this low right here. So I expect a year or two from right now or a few years beyond that, this account's going to be well more than double what it is right now. So I'm here to be transparent and show you guys what I do and the why behind it and simply buying good companies at good prices just like Warren Buffett does. Yes, we get a little bit of volatility, but we're likely to continue to beat the market in the long term. And also understand that the all-time high for this account was somewhere around $1,263,000. I'm basically down from all-time highs the exact same percent as what the overall market is down. So my downside beta, like today, it looks very bad because I have meta stock in my portfolio and it went down more today. But overall, like my downside exposure, what I have on this dip, is extremely similar to what the Nasdaq actually went down, and that's what you want to see. But now that things are more compelling, cheaper, safer, whatever, I'm allocating more bullishly. My beta is going to go up a little bit. The volatility factor will go up a little bit. But looking forward, that's okay with me. All right, so that's the video. Try to simplify this stuff in an easy way to just help you guys keep your emotions in check, keep your pants on, as I talk about in Discord all the time, and simply buy good companies at good prices and use options in a responsible way, where I've been proving that I've been beating the market since well before COVID, and I do expect that to continue, which is what most people cannot even beat the S&P 500. Yes, we're going to get volatility. Yes, we're going to see some red. Yes, we'll get some bumps, but zoom out a little bit, and we're likely to be very, very fine. So that being said, drop a comment, tell me what you think, like, subscribe, hit the hype button too if you get value, and then go watch this playlist right here for how I do stock options. It'll help you out a lot. See you guys there.